Good morning. Welcome to the morning market briefing. Today is Tuesday, January 20th, 2026. Hope you are doing well. Hope you had a great weekend, a great long weekend for those of you who had Monday off. We had Monday off for the market holiday for Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So that was certainly very much appreciated. We're kind of in this still almost this Christmas hangover of days off. We do get President's Day, or actually, as the New York Stock Exchange talks about it, George Washington's birthday next month. And then we have an early Easter this year, so that'll break it up in early April. So that's what we have going on in terms of the days off. But certainly it's not a day off for anyone who was following the news, who wanted to just have a nice, restful weekend. Certainly if you're in financial markets, it was not a restful weekend. And if you were a Miami fan, probably not such a great weekend for you either. Today, we're going to be talking, obviously, about the big news over the weekend that's driving the market sell-off today, down about 1.5% to 2%, depending on the market. Treasuries selling off, everything selling off except precious metals, which has kind of been the story. Precious metals just continue to go up. Seems like everything continues to benefit them right now. And I'm joined today not by Andrew and not by Tom, but by Harrison Fish, who has the distinct honor of hosting the third Narwhal Capital Market Symposium tonight at the Brickyard in Marietta, and he's going to give us a preview about what to expect, and then we'll talk a little bit about the implications of the weekend's news. So, Harrison, with that, I'll let you take it away and kind of give us a preview of how the evening's going to play out and what you expect to hear.
Yeah, super excited. We're going to do it panel style this year. So I get the honor to moderate Ben and Tom as they talk about what they see for the economy. And some of the topics we'll hit on are some of the main forces shaping up what 2026 will look like. Talk about real estate, see what some of those alternative investments are doing, like private credit, private equity markets. Also look into AI, because it can't be a conference or a whatever without talking about AI. And then I'm excited to hear your answer to this. I've got a ending question trying to get your big idea and small idea for 2026.
Yeah, one thing that'll happen in 2026 that people aren't really talking about, big idea meaning something that could really change the course of the next 10 years. And small idea is almost a contrarian view, something that people aren't really talking about that could happen that we think we should be watching.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. And then we'll have a guest speaker, Dr. Ken Harmon, who I actually got to be a student of when I was in school here at KSU. And he's going to share some research-driven strategies on how to build greater happiness and overall resilience. And I think he wants to spend a little time talking about how that affects personal finances and the aspect that can be of overall happiness. So excited to see. I think we have a good turnout this evening, but be there at 5:30 and we'll get rolling at 6.
Yeah, terms happiness and resilient aren't usually used in the same sentence. And so I'm curious to see what and certainly add money into that. And those are three diametrically opposed or trimetrically opposed terms. You got, they don't often overlap. So I'm curious to see the Venn diagram of that. And how he connects them and blends them all together. So I'm excited for it. Doors open at 5:30.
That's right.
Presentation begins at 6. Conclusion around 7. But then there'll be about half an hour mix and mingle afterward.
Yes.
So we're looking forward to that. We'll obviously talk about the news of the day, which is Greenland. Trump on Saturday announced that because Denmark, Norway, and Sweden and a host of other countries had decided that they were going to basically sign on and try to defend Greenland from being taken over by the United States, that he's going to impose a 10% tariff on those countries. Includes, obviously, Germany, France, and the UK, 3 very large economies, 10% tariff with a 25% tariff beginning on June 1st. And it's payable until a deal is reached for the, quote, complete and total purchase of Greenland. The truth that he tweeted out truthed out was exceptionally long. One of the longer truths. I think you can read it on the screen. We're not going to read it live for you. That'll take the entirety of the 15 minutes. But the point here is that Trump is doubling down on this position to acquire Greenland. He's interested in purchasing the territory but he has not ruled out military. The European Union, for its part, is looking at countermeasures. They do not feel good about being what they view as coerced into this deal. So they're discussing placing tariffs on 93 billion euros of U.S. goods, including Boeing planes, cars, and bourbon. Germany is actually a little bit more reticent to sign on to all of this because of their reliance on trade. France is all for it. But what they're saying publicly and what they're saying privately seems to be a little bit at odds. Trump posted a couple of text messages that he got from European leaders, one of which was from the French President Emmanuel Macron, saying, you know what, we can't meet at Davos, but come meet me for dinner on Thursday night on your way out of Europe, because Trump's going to be in Davos this week for the World Economic Forum. So all of this is coming at a bit of a touchy time for the European economy. They're dealing with a little bit of a stagnating economy. The European Central Bank has cut interest rates many times. They're down to about 2%. So they're not going to really cut interest rates more. They're trying to load on this fiscal stimulus to get the economy really going again. But increasingly, it seems like this fiscal stimulus is, one, not coming through in the way that people want it to come through. And two, to the extent that it does come through, it's probably just going to offset, tariffs or fund war or all sorts of these things. So they're dealing with a little bit of a tough situation. Meanwhile, Trump wants to have his board of peace. So while all of this is going on, Trump has come out with a board of peace, and the Europeans initially were all for it, and then they saw the $1 billion fee in order to become a permanent member. I'm not sure what the temporary members cost, but $1 billion, and the Europeans said, what are you doing? You can't do this. We're kind of blindsided by this. Not only that, but Trump is also positioning himself to be the decision maker, and people are feeling threatened that this is basically a replacement for the United Nations. So that's all going on at the exact moment when Trump is flying over to Europe to meet with these guys. He also posted a text message from NATO Secretary Mark Rutte saying that Rutte is committed to finding a way forward on Greenland. There's a lot going on, but the fact of the matter is, at the end of the day, we have the markets that are down. S&P 500 selling off about 1.5% to 2%, as I mentioned. Small caps and the Nasdaq getting hit a little bit harder. The VIX is up 25% in a day to 20, and gold is up 3%. What's notable too is that treasuries are selling off. And this is not inflation driven. Sometimes when people say tariffs, they think it's inflation driven. But if you look at inflation break-evens, they're pretty much exactly where they were. The 10-year TIPS implied inflation number went from like 232 to 233. So no real change. Meanwhile, the 10-year itself has gone from about 420 to 429. And this is not just a U.S. phenomenon. Japanese bonds are selling off. European bonds are selling off. All bonds are selling off. And everyone's basically freaking out, going to cash, buying gold. And in conversations that I've had on WhatsApp with people, from Europe, there is a palpable sense of fear and trepidation that I think is inflamed by media reports, but certainly Trump as well. I mean, these truths are not passive truths that he's tweeting out. So I think that you have all of these factors at play that are causing people to really start to freak out. But at the end of the day, I see a lot of parallels between this and the Liberation Day announcement. I think that there will be some element of working things out. Secretary Scott Bessent was out this morning in Davos basically saying that and alluding to almost a Trump always chickens out kind of phenomenon. I think that there will probably be some deal. And so this is my conclusion on Greenland. It is a very low confidence conclusion, but I thought people might be interested. And that is, I think there will be a solution wherein the U.S. is given a lot more control over the territory for military bases and installations and things like that, mining rights and and all of these sorts of things, allowed to make deals with Greenland autonomously, not having to go through Denmark or the European Union. I think that is something that is a more likely outcome than an outright purchase or the status quo. So I think there will be something, and I think there will be a meeting in the middle. And I think that at the end of the day, Trump knows that he needs the stock market higher in order to have success in the midterms. And the more that he presses on this, especially the closer we get to the midterms, the more likely it is that he's going to have some trouble there. So that's my conclusion on that, which means I think today we're certainly a buyer of treasuries. We're certainly a buyer of bonds, and we're probably a buyer of stocks too. Depending on what happens, we do have the potential for a tariff announcement at 10 a.m. from the Supreme Court. They are rendering an opinion today. We don't know on what. So that'll be interesting. We have more Supreme Court news tomorrow because they're going to be listening to oral arguments in the Lisa Cook case, basically questioning does the president have the authority to fire a sitting Fed governor. And so Jay Powell will be at the hearing there. So that'll be interesting for sure. And so there's a lot going on this week. Not only that, but this is another week where earnings season continues to ramp up. We had 3M and Fastenal report this morning, as well as a few banks. Both say that the end markets remain mixed. They're really trying to control some things themselves and improve. But overall, Q4 kind of ended with a little bit of a whimper for some of them, even though we're seeing some of the macro data that was pretty strong in Q4. Some of the industrial data was a little bit weaker. And then natural gas prices are just skyrocketing right now. They're up 15%, I think, overnight. And the reason for that is we've just got a massive influx of cold weather coming. I don't know, Harrison, if you've seen what's coming down out there. What's coming down the pipe for us, but we're going to have stuff in the 20s. We might get snow this weekend. I'm excited for that. I love it. I love a good snow day. I just wish it was on a work day because I love coming into the office when we've got snow on the ground. And last year we did a live call while I was driving down a hill and up a hill, weaving through cars that were just stopped and sliding on the road, and I just had to commit to it. It was a rush. I enjoyed it, but I kind of grew up in that territory, so I'm just weird that way. But anything that you're looking forward to, Harrison, other than tonight's event as we go through this week?
Man, we've got the GDP revision for Q3 coming up. I'm curious to see what gets put there.
It was, I think, 5.4 or 4.3 initially, something like that.
That'd be interesting. And then, man, just an interesting game last night. I don't know if you want to talk about it. Close game. I did not think it was going to come down to being that tight, just how the game started off. Don't know if you have any thoughts about that.
Fitting that it ended on a Carson Beck interception. Yes. No, after halftime, I thought that Indiana had it pretty well in hand. They got the ball coming out of half. I woke up this morning fully expecting, a 30-10 kind of pull away. But it sounded like, you saw the tale of two quarterbacks. You saw the tale of a quarterback who was fully committed, and a quarterback who throws interceptions.
That's right.
And that's exactly what happened. I am really excited about the NFL season really heating up. We've had Seattle just had it was almost embarrassing.
Seattle's looking good.
I felt a little bit bad. I can't believe I felt a little bit bad for the 49ers, but I did. It was the biggest win Seattle's had since the 43-8 drubbing of the Denver Broncos in 2013. But it sets up really nicely because if the Seahawks did get to the Super Bowl, they would play either the Patriots in a revenge game from 2014 when we did not hand the ball off to Marshawn Lynch, or it sets up a game against a Broncos team, and we had pretty good success there last time.
I'm rooting for the Patriots Seahawks there.
I think that would be. I think awesome. The storylines would be really great. I'm over the Rams. Matthew Stafford is the best quarterback in the league, and it's crazy to say that at age 37, but he's remarkable. and he's throwing to two incredibly talented targets in Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua. So it's going to be a really tough ask for this for the Seahawks, but they're a team that just continues to put up the results. So we'll see what happens. More to come on that over the course of the week. More to come, obviously, on all of this. We have Trump speaking in Davos tomorrow. More earnings. Netflix tonight, which will be interesting. I know we talked about it before, but Netflix had been mulling just going all cash offer for Paramount, and it looks like that's what they did. $27.75 a share, so they'll talk more about that on the call. You still have Paramount suing them. Paramount suing Warner Brothers. So, and you have a long road to get this approved. So we'll have to see what happens with all of this. It remains a long road, but it looks like Netflix is going all cash there. So with that, hope to see you tonight. And if you can't make it, I do have a 135 slide deck. If you're interested in getting the slides and our outlook for the year, I know Harrison has worked on getting that available to you as well, and we'll continue to do that. And that's it for now, but it should be a very interesting week.